So I want you to think for a second. If you had a child, what would you want people to say about your child? And I know a lot of parents, right off the bat, they want to say, you know what? My child's smart, right? Because intelligence is something that we truly value in our society. But the problem is that I always like to ask this one question afterwards. If they're smart, do you expect them to be lazy? And they say no. Smart kids aren't lazy, right? But here's the issue. You see, I teach, and as a teacher, I ask this question to a lot of the parents that I meet. Because I do after-school tutoring, the most common question I'll ask right away is your student a bright student? Are they smart? Are they intelligent? And parents generally will say yes, they are. Well, if they're smart, if they're bright, what's the issue? Why are you coming here to me? Well, they actually don't put in as much work as they should. Well, let me ask you this. Would you say that your student is smart, but kind of lazy? Oh, yeah. You know, I would say about 95% of the students that I meet are characterized this way. They've been called bright. They've been called smart. Sometimes even gifted, naturally talented. And as a result, they were given the key and the access to being lazy. You see, smart, it's not smart but lazy. It's actually smart and lazy. Because if you are smart, you should have the ability to be lazy, right? And that's actually kind of funny. I've met a lot of parents who now actually agree with me. You see, the issue here isn't that the parents were doing something wrong. They've been showing love. They've been doing the positive praise that we've been taught in our society. But the main issue here is more so the fact that as they praise their children, they forgot that they were praising something that they didn't want. You see, when we praise a student for being smart, we start to actually teach them to be lazy. And this is something they've actually done research upon in recent years and found that intelligence isn't the key to being successful in our world. It's actually resilience of a sort. And what we want to say now is it's actually a key component we like to call drive. Drive is this ability to overcome failure. Drive is motivation to seek new intelligence, because intelligence wasn't what they were praised for. They were praised for being motivated. They were praised for having drive. So it wasn't necessarily the fact that they were dumb kids. It was the fact that they recognized that being an intelligent human being, having the smarts, was a result of effort. And you see, that's one of the key things that we start to teach to our kids, especially at a young age. If we start to teach resilience, we start to teach effort, and stop to focus so much upon a simple result. Because failures will come. But in the end, it's the process of learning to overcome that failure that is more important than the direct result right away. And so here's something really interesting that I found with a lot of these students that I've met. I asked the parent, how do you usually find out that something's gone wrong? Is it usually that they get a bad grade and they come up to you right away and tell you themselves? Or do you have to go look for the information yourself? And another question is, what is the result after you've had this interaction? Do you go and discipline them? Or do you go help them find the adequate process to overcome this situation? Because I'll tell you this, we've been learned to discipline our students if they don't achieve the result that we ask for. But what it does is it creates avoidance behaviors. And when your student begins to avoid you as a parent because you've disciplined them for grades, which is a result of learning, okay? It's a process that in which if they learn to avoid, they will learn to avoid and to dislike learning in the end. But if you learn to actually reward their process, even reward the bouts and the instances where they show resilience and overcoming these issues, then you ultimately teach your student that it's the process that matters, right? I've got a couple different videos and couple different podcasts and speeches that you can look up. My name's Eric Liu with Exclusive Tutoring San Diego, and I've spent the last couple years of my career focused upon teaching students and trying to unlock and understand what it is that separates students from greatness. Because it's not just grades. We've always heard of that straight C student, or the one who got kicked out of school but is more successful than the kids who got straight A's, or even the valedictorian of school. So what exactly is it that we should start to praise more? Well, it's that factor of drive. Let's stop focusing so much on intelligence and focus more on resilience and overcoming the failures and actually realizing that failure is a part of the process. So there's a really interesting article that I recently read about a young girl it was a girl who got into a Ivy League, actually. And as an Ivy League admit, she turned around and wrote an article thanking her father. And her father wasn't the traditional Asian father that you may be used to. Most Asian fathers, you think about, anything lower than an A+ is considered a failure, right? There's that meme online showing how much disdain and how you may even be, you may be kicked out of the family, or you may be disowned from the family for getting a bad grade. But this father was different. This girl who got into the Ivy League, when she came home with a C one day, her father turned to her and took her out and rewarded her with a new gift. And he told her, when you come back with a bad grade, I'll reward you. Anything C or lower, you come home and I'll actually reward you. We'll take your mind off of it. We'll overcome it. But if you get an A or a B, you don't need that, right? You're fine. And what happened was, over the course of the years, she never ended up being rewarded with those gifts again. She actually learned to overcome those failures because her father taught her resilience. He flipped things around, and he actually, in this sense, used reverse psychology on her. And in the end, she actually achieved the A's and the B's, and actually, to be I think she was a valedictorian, but to get into an Ivy League, you need to be at the top of your classes nowadays. She did very, very well for herself. So, I hope these stories, anecdotes help you guys out and you can spread this knowledge to other people around you, so that we can all understand how to raise our children and how to teach them resilience, so that, we can all be successful together in the end. So, again, this is Eric with Exclusive Tutoring San Diego. I hope that was a interesting little talk for you guys, and I hope to talk to any of you guys soon. You can find my information all at www.exclusivetutoringsd.com, and go ahead and send me an email, send me a text or a message, and we can chat about the different processes of child development and all these other interesting things when it comes to learning and education. Hope to hear from you guys soon. Have a great day. See ya.